Ukraine's National Guard has established a new corps titled AZOV First Corps. A new operational tactical unit was created as part of the National Guard of Ukraine on the basis of the 12th Special Forces Brigade AZOV. The First Corps, AZOV, includes 5 brigades: 1st Presidential Operational Brigade Burvoy, 12th Special Purpose Brigade AZOV, 14th Operational Brigade Krasnaya Kalina, 15th Operational Brigade Karabakh, the newly created 20th Operational Brigade Lyabart. Most of these brigades have proven themselves to be motivated and combat-ready units. The Burov Operational Brigade is repelling Russian attacks around Kupiansk direction of the Eastern Front. The Karabakh Brigade fought in Zaporizhia region and in the Pokrovsk area, capturing a large number of Russian armored vehicles. A video shared by Ukrainian military in Telegram app shows fighters of AZOV Corps in action. It should be noted that the reform is based on lessons learned from the war with Russia, including the need for rapid maneuvering, resilience to enemy strikes and the ability to hold large areas of territory. Earlier in February, President Volodymyr Zelensky approved a plan to transition to a new organizational structure of the armed forces of Ukraine and to establish military corps.
The Ukrainian armed forces did not begin the operation in the Belgorod region with the aim of advancing deeply into Russian territory. As military expert and former SBU officer Ivan Stupak noted, the most important thing was to relieve the Sumy direction where Russian troops already control a certain territory. We must admit that we do not control approximately 50 to 55 square kilometers of Sumy Oblast. We understand that there are troops there and it is extremely difficult to dislodge them. In order to somehow relieve that area, to improve the situation of our military in Sumy Oblast, a decision was made to begin what began in Belgorod Oblast. This is a small operation, approximately 13 to 15 square kilometers of our control, but nevertheless it is painful for the Russians and they are forced to partially relieve the Sumy area, transferring their forces to Belgorod Oblast in order to somehow stop the Ukrainian advance, he explained on air at Radio NV. At the same time, as Stupak added, this operation was initially limited in resources and people. Let's be frank. Even if we hadn't encountered resistance from the Russian Federation there, we don't have the capacity, the human resources to reach Belgorod, Voronezh, Rostov. There are no such capabilities. Let us recall that earlier it became known that the Ukrainian armed forces are expecting an offensive by the Russian Federation in the border area of the Sumy and Kharkiv regions, and also do not rule out attempts by the Russians to advance towards the Chernihiv region. According to media reports, the Ukrainian armed forces are currently transferring additional forces to the Sumy direction. The Russians' immediate goal is to enter the village of Lokhnya. In addition, it is noted that the occupiers may become more active in the Seversk region as well as in the south. In Sumy Oblast, the Russians' immediate goal is to enter the village of Lokhnya. However, our units are trying to hold back the Russians and are sending reinforcements there. At the same time, the interlocutors consider the probability of encirclement of Sumy to be low, given that our units are preparing for various operations of action by the Russians, the RBC Ukraine added. The Ukrainian Defense Forces are reportedly preparing for an intensification of the Russian offensive in most areas of the front in late spring and early summer. Let us recall that recently the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, stated that Russia's offensive on the Sumy and Kharkiv regions has already effectively begun. According to him, the goal of the Russian Federation is to create a so-called buffer zone on the territory of the Kharkiv, Sumy and Chernihiv regions. Despite all the negotiations that are ongoing, we are only seeing an increase in the intensity of offensive actions, the general noted.
Russian military shot down 115 Ukrainian drones on Tuesday night, the Russian Defense Ministry reported. It is noted that the largest number of drones were shot down over the territory of the Kursk region, 109. During the past night, air defense systems on duty intercepted and destroyed 115 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles of the aircraft type, 3 UAVs, over the territory of the Voronezh region, 1 UAV each, over the territories of the Moscow region, Bryansk and Oryol regions, the report says. As a result of the massive attack on Kursk, an 85-year-old woman died. Another 9 people were injured, and fires broke out in several houses. Authorities said the injured suffered shrapnel wounds, traumatic brain injuries and burns. Multiple fires broke out in residential buildings. The 8th and 9th floors of a high-rise were damaged, and 5 floors burned in another building. Officials said metal fragments, including steel balls, were found at one of the impact sites. Several residents were relocated to temporary shelters. A drone also struck an ambulance garage, damaging 11 vehicles. 3 private homes were reportedly hit. This attack follows a deadly Russian missile strike on Sunday, April 13, when 2 ballistic missiles with cluster munitions hit the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy, killing 34 people and wounding more than 100 others. Emergency crews are currently on scene attending to injured victims. Kursk Oblast, situated on the Russia-Ukraine border, is the site of Ukraine's incursion into the region and sees regular fighting. Russia regularly strikes Ukrainian cities with drone attacks, greatly outnumbering Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory.
Конченый еще один нахуй. Пизда. Ебануться. Союзный пиздец, короче.